This month, I did some colour and lighting studies, some perspective studies, and attempted to draw men for the first time among many other things. Starting off with my colour and lighting studies, I focused most on colour, watching these videos. They'll be linked in the description below. Then, I applied what I learned into these studies. Some of them I quite like, such as this food/colour study I did. I really like the colours, and while it doesn't look quite as delicious as the reference, I think that I still did quite well picking the colours. Other studies, however, didn't turn out the way I wanted them to. For example, I wanted this drawing to utilise the chiaroscuro lighting technique, but I completely failed and I don't know what I need to do to fix it. My biggest issue, however, wasn't the studies themselves, but finding a reference. So many of the references I found were AI. I actually started a glass study only to stop midway as the reference I was using was AI. I moved on to some light character design work with this OC, Reina. I got some further advice online to make her better, but I still think that her design was pretty successful, especially compared to my old character design work. Despite starting to take art more seriously over 2 years ago, this was my first time properly studying perspective. I did 1 point, 2 point, 3 point and 4 point perspective, which I think worked pretty well. I struggled most with 3 point perspective, but otherwise find perspective to be pretty easy. I applied what I had learned in this 1 point perspective study. I really should have used a reference, but I clearly didn't. Another thing I notice now is that I should have drawn the clouds in perspective as well. I probably would have noticed this sooner if I had a reference to study from. Ignoring this, I definitely understand perspective much better now than I used to. Next, I moved on to hair. My hair tends to be okay, but I spend a lot of time in the sketching phase trying to make the hair look good, especially the backside of the hair. I used YouTube videos when trying to learn to draw hair properly, but found that they just didn't work for me. One tip I learned from this video is that for curly hair you should use diamond shapes. I was able to apply this well when sketching, but when it came to colouring and rendering the hair, it just looked awful. I think that I may have found things easier if I tried to use a reference for these studies. Reoccurring theme here. After struggling so much with the hair, I chose to move on to male anatomy and general features. I've never actually tried to draw men before, so started with sketching male hair based off of a reference. Some of them turned out quite well. I really like this long-haired reference, for example. Others look meh. I think that I would like the others more if the sketches were cleaner. I decided to switch to male anatomy. I started off with head anatomy and moved on to doing full poses using the Pose Maniac Daily Pose feature. I think that this had been really beneficial, not just in learning male anatomy and the differences to female anatomy, but also to get more confident doing different poses. I also drew feet for one of the first times after my previous attempts looked like this. All in all, this has been a really good find for many things, and I'd recommend using it if you don't already. It's linked in the description below. To test what I've learned, I made this full character drawing. I think that he looks like a man, though it could be a bit more obvious, although I'm not quite sure how I would make him look more like a man though. Also, his shoulders are just wrong. I used a reference for the hair and shirt, which I think was super beneficial. His shirt looks really good in my opinion, and his hair actually looks like hair. His face is also one of the best faces I've ever drawn in my opinion. His trousers are quite basic, mainly because I had already been drawing for 2 hours, but also because I couldn't find a trouser reference that I liked. I'll be making a dedicated video on attempting to draw men that releases sometime in August, so subscribe to be notified when that releases. I also set some art goals, which you can see in its dedicated video on my YouTube channel. The simplified version of this video is that I split my goals into 3 categories and decided on what I needed to work on based on my old work. And that was everything that I've drawn in July. All of the videos mentioned will be in the description below, and if you want a weekly shorter version of this video, you can see my short series also linked in the description. I've put all of my monthly art evaluation videos into a set playlist, which you can see in the description below and on screen now. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, feel free to like and subscribe to see future uploads like the upcoming video on learning to draw men.